Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's lesson, we're going to be painting the Easter lamb, and it's a spring kind of feeling. We're going to have the lamb, and it's going to have some beautiful flowers, so I hope you stick around and watch this lesson. So to start off, I've got out this gesso board, and I've got out all my colors here. And I'll have a list of those colors in the description. So I'll just use something like this little round brush and get a little bit of this burnt sienna. And I can sort of start off by, in the reference, I sort of see a little horizon line sort of in there. So I can mark that off a little. And I want this lamb to be very, cute and kind of whimsical. So not so worried about it being, like a perfect, lamb. I want it to be kind of just kind of fun. So I'm just going to kind of sketch a little bit. He's a really adorable little guy or girl. I don't know anything about farm animals, sadly. But these are so cute. And so I'm just kind of looking at where the feet land, and you can look on the photo where they land kind of like and reference it with your brush, just so you don't make all the legs at the same distance. You just kind of want to pay attention. It's easy, believe me, it's easy. No matter how much you draw, your brain wants to reorder things to be kind of straight and a certain way. So even though it's not straight, your brain will kind of rewire it so it is. So I'm just kind of doodling this cute little lamb using this burnt sienna, and this is just some acrylic paint I'm using. And this is trying to keep it real simple and just sort of paying attention to some of the little shapes. And right now it looks kind of funny because it's just a blob, and it looks like they kind of shaved the fur off, so we can make ours look a little fluffier than that. So that comes there, and cute little kneecaps, and there's some fluffy fur. So I'll just kind of doodle that in. Okay, once I have my lamb in, then I can, kind of put in, there's this little kind of darker patch there. I could put that in. I might even, because the photos, all reference photos of lambs are zoomed in on the lamb, so you don't get to see, much else. So you could do, maybe what we'll do is we'll just put a little bit of imaginary kind of hills kind of in behind, and a sky. And then we'll put in some little daisies around the lamb, just to add a little bit more of that spring. Or you could make them yellow like little daffodils. So we'll put in some colorful wildflowers that we'll have in there too. So now that I've got everything sort of sketched in there, then I'm gonna go and underpaint. I didn't want to do a big underpaint and then make it really confusing. So if you sketch your little lamb in the middle, now I've got some dioxazine violet here. I'm gonna put some dioxazine violet and a little bit of this it's a transparent yellow oxide. And that, when you mix that with some dioxazine violet, you get some nice sort of grade grayed down sort of purples to throw in the foreground. You can even use, got a little bit of this pyrrole red. Just put in a few warm colors in the foreground. And that's going to help, you know, when you add the greens later, that's going to really help because you go cooler as you go in the distance when you're painting landscape. So when you're painting a lamb like this, you kind of keep in mind you're also kind of painting a bit of a landscape. So kind of warm undertones won't hurt it at all. And then so the greens also will really kind of complement that dioxazine violet, those purples underneath. So I like that, and I add a little bit of yellow because that kind of dulls it down a bit. And so this is kind of like the foreground, and then these hills are going to be further away. So I'm going to take a little bit of white, mix it into that same mixture. We're going to try to keep it real simple. And for the underpaint, we'll start to add some white because that's going to set it back. So this first layer, we'll do a little white in there. And then the next layer, add a little more. Maybe even add a little cobalt blue because that even sets it back further. And it's nice because the acrylic dries so fast, you know. Okay, so we can tweak the rest of that with the sky color. And while we're at it, we can get a little white and some cobalt blue and just sort of put in something for the sky. Just keep it real fun and simple for now. We can always go back and but this just gets rid of that white canvas. And now that I've got all that blocked in, I'll block in a little wash over those flowers so that I don't see the white. Later I'll regret that if I don't. So I'm going to put some of that dioxazine violet over those. Now that I kind of know where everything's going, I can easily add those kind of abstract-y flower shapes to my painting later. I just kind of wanted you to see, you know, when you're starting out, it can be intimidating to envision where everything's going. So it just kind of helps you see what I'm thinking. Okay. And don't worry about the lamb's feet. You're going to be adding the paint back on. So there he is. He's sitting there waiting for the grass to grow. So I'm going to now, you can switch back to a smaller brush, or you could just continue with a larger brush, but I'll switch to a little smaller brush because this is more. So this is from Michael's. This is one of those Zen brushes. You can get these on Amazon too. They're good for water mixable. So I'm going to get a little bit of this burnt umber and a little white and sort of just I'm trying to keep the color mixture real simple here. So I'm just going to mix a bit of that and block in the little lamb using that color mix. because you want the white fur to show up, so you got to start off with a little bit of a dark underpaint. And just sort of block in. This foot's a little bit, has to come a little longer. So you can kind of get the idea now of what it's going to start to look like. And I'm gonna go get some of the background color and just sort of reshape the side of the lamb's face. Kind of comes square there and then comes down. And then that side kind of comes in a bit. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go back to this little round brush and just get in there and put some of that, using some pyrrole red and a little bit of this cad yellow medium. I want to mix up kind of a coral pinky color for inside the ear. Like that. And I'm not aiming for perfection on the drawing or anything. The drawing is way off from the from what I see, but I'm trying to keep this just real simple, so we're not going to get too distracted. I'm going to get some black for the eyes, and the eyes are, you know, kind of off to the sides. For now, I'll just kind of put them in there like that, and then there's the cute little nose. And this, you know, little mouth. And now we can add a little more white to that original mix. The burnt sienna. I mean raw. I get these colors mixed up. The raw umber, burnt umber. Sorry, this is burnt umber, and that's burnt sienna. I get the two mixed up all the time. So I'm gonna just sort of add a little bit more paint to that surface, and I'm gonna mix some more white in there. And then you can see now there's some dimension forming because you got the darker mix of the burnt umber and then the lighter. And this is probably one of the easiest little colors mixing for the sheep I've ever done, just to really keep it basic, just dark and light versions of the same, and it's actually pretty effective. Because I took a color mixing class and we had to mix our own burnt umber. We had to mix it up, and it's a combination. It was a while back, but it's a combination of ultramarine blue and I think it had ultramarine blue and obviously some, I think it was green and alizarin or something in it. It had like a mix, and it was it's pretty, it saves you all the mixing because you can just take it right out of the tube. So you can just see right now I'm building some dark and light, and now I'll get some white and just add a tiny bit of that cad yellow medium and some of this raw sienna, just to give it kind of a warmer white for the top here, and for the face I want it to look kind of more, a little bit warmer. And just sort of have fun, you know, dab some of that light coming down, which is gonna kind of change the shape of the little lamb's face, because when you do that, now you can start to see some dimension on the lamb's face. And as I do that, I kind of add a little fluff to the edges. And then kind of look at the reference and see there's some real light on the legs. And it's got these little kind of brown kneecaps, which are cute. You can add a little blue in that white because it's kind of some, if you add a little blue to the white that's kind of light down here, it will be different than the lighter white up there. So it'll be more cooler, more like a shadow bright versus the warm bright up there. And then I'm going to go back and add a little more white to the lamb, his little face, and kind of blend a little bit. I don't want to lose the dark, you know, too much of the dark, because that gives it the shape, but just sort of dab a little to blend it around. And you can always get a little bit of your darker mix it with the lighter mix to get some kind of blend that in, and then go back to your lighter mix and then blend that in. And just make some little kind of fuzzy furry marks here and there. And then we'll go back because we're going to do the background. So for now I'm going to leave it, and then we'll go back. Let me just get that leg kind of in front more. Kind of got confused there whether it was behind or in front. Okay, so now we're going to mix up a few things for the grass. So I've got Viridian here, and I've got one of these acrylic basics colors, the light olive green. And I thought between those two greens, we'll keep it simple. And you can use sap, whatever green you're used to using. But I'm gonna, in the foreground, I can mix a little Viridian with that green and add a tiny dab of that pyrrole red just to dull it down. And I'm just gonna kind of put in some of the grass and leave I'm leaving the purple showing through. You can see I'm not just covering it up. I want that'll be the thing that kind of ties it together. So there's no white in this mix except for if there was any white in this olive green paint, but it's pretty transparent so you can kind of see through it to the other grass. I mean, to the purple grass. And yeah, when I'm painting and talking, it's sometimes not so great. So just kind of dab that around because you're going to add more texture to it. Don't worry about that. You can always, if you paint your lamb over a little, you can always go back and fix it. And now, like we did with the background, I'm just going to kind of walk you through the same thing. I'll add a little white to that green mix and kind of dull those colors as you go further and further from the lamb. So you can, I want to add a little burnt sienna or something to dull it down. Some more of that red. Don't want it to look like that. That's a little too fluorescent-y. You never know until you get it on there what's going to happen. So that's better. I dulled it down a bit, and I'm really big on loosening up and not having it look perfect. So I don't even know what it is I'm painting behind there. It's just more about color and creating a landscape that this little lamb fits into. And then I'm gonna now go and add more white to that mix and maybe even some of this cool blue color, which is another one of those inexpensive colors. It's just called light blue permanent. These are about $5 something a tube, so you can get them pretty inexpensively. And I'm just gonna also just sort of add a little red to that. See, you gotta have that red. It's amazing how it really doesn't look like it's gonna zing, and then it kind of really zings on when you put it down. So you never know what you're gonna get. So just put a bit of that down, and I'm just trying to keep it really simple and easy to follow so that you don't feel intimidated and you can give this a try. So I'm leaving all that purple around there because I want the painting to have that kind of element of fun to it. And then I'll go get more white. So you can see I'm doing the same sort of thing I did with the purple, and kind of fade these green fields off into the distance. So there you go. And then you can also, once you get everything kind of mingled, you can add a little bit of light to some of the field up close, just if you want, just to tie it all back in together. But I'm not really doing much editing on that because I don't want to go overkill on it. It's just a fun kind of way to make the stage for the lamb. Okay, now we can go back and go with my idea there, and I'll try to find a few reference photos for you to go along with it. For my Patreon channel, I'll have all the reference photos there, and I'm gonna just now, I can put in you could put in a few little daisies, so you can choose which one. You could put a few little, kind of looser than that. My first one was a little tight, but you can do a few little daisy flowers. And then you could go and get a little yellow here and some of this raw sienna. And why not put let's put a few daffodils in there. So 5 petals, and you could do one kind of going off to the side, a few of them off to the side, like that, and then go get some cadmium, put in a few different yellows. And then, of course, you can mix a little red with that cad yellow medium and just kind of put in the daffodil kind of like shape center. Just kind of blob it in there like that. And then go back and get a flat brush like this, and you can get some of that green and just sort of put in a few kind of stems, you know, here and there. And you can put in a few kind of strokes of grass here and there, and then you can put as many flowers as you want. You know, you decide how many you decide is up to you. I'm just doing this for the demo, putting a few in, but you know, I literally could put in little red flowers, or how about what it would be really cute to do is put in a few different greens for the stems, and then because you got the purple there, you could get a little dioxazine violet and put in a few purple flowers here and there, and then just add a little, almost like, you know, those little bells or lavenders or something like that. Just, you know, I'm just blobbing them in there, and just, they could be like a Easter flower, like those hyacinth or something, you know. It doesn't have to be anything really obvious, just sort of the shapes or the colors of flowers that you want in there. And then you can go back and add some more fur. And then I think what you could do also is, because when acrylic dries, the grass gets a little darker. So go mix up a little bit more use some Viridian and that burnt sienna, and mix in a bit more, just a few more brush strokes of different green in there. And then you can add some of that other green in there. Kind of overlap that little edge there a bit so it's not so stiff. And sort of just dab some more paint around so that it kind of loosens it up a bit more. You could even put take some yellow, get some white and a little bit of that blue color, and you could almost put a few little tiny, like, flowers that are kind of off in the distance. You know, just to kind of bring it all together and have some more. So I mixed a little blue so that they're kind of more set back from the ones in the front. Let's put a few real white dabs of paint just to really bring that lamb into the focal point there. And then you could always take a little green or something and put it in the middle of the daisy just to give it a little center. You can even get some of that purple and just sort of dab like some more of those little purpley flowers around. And then I might just go and add a little bit of white on a clean area of my palette here because it's kind of messy, and just go and kind of add a bit thicker layer now of paint to the sky area, just so it's not so watery looking. And you cut into the hills a little to make it more, combine them a bit more to the painting, to the sky. Just add a little white if you want to make it look like there's some clouds in there. So that's a simple kind of spring lamb painting. I really enjoyed this little one, and I hope you enjoy it too, and look forward to teaching you in the next lessons. So happy painting, everyone.